You know, we spend a lot of time acknowledging milestones and celebrating individuals for different things, but we don't take the opportunity to celebrate the things that we do ourselves. Even though it may seem inconsequential, it really is more than you realize. Let me share you one that stands out for me. And for me, it was a 25-mile road march. Now, some of you are going like, what? This is the summer of 1986. I am a 17-year-old kid who is participating in what's called split op training, where I'm going to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I am 12 Bravo, which is a combat engineer, and I am in basic training. This is my first time away from home. I am clueless to the ways of the world, and I had to laugh because we're being told that we're going to have to participate in the march. Now, we march to places all the time, and I didn't really lose a lot of sleep. But this is something where they're telling us we're doing what's called a forced road march. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't recall them telling us how long we had to march. What I do recall them telling us is that anybody who doesn't make the march has to make it up. And I was like, how the hell do you make up a march? I'm going to tell you what's not going to happen. I ain't going to make up a march. So you've got to remember, here it is. I'm 5'10", 5'11", about 140 pounds wet. I've got this, helmet that I've got to wear on my head. I've got my M16 A1 rifle. I've got my rucksack. I've got me a big backpack full of stuff. I have my LCE low carrying equipment, which basically has my 2 canteens on both sides. And we start marching at about 3-4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Actually, no, I take that back. It wasn't even Thursday. It was a Friday. It was a Friday morning. And the reason why I remember it was a Friday, and you're like, how do you know it was a Friday? I remember it was a Friday because after that march, they basically left us alone for the rest of the weekend. And I didn't realize why they did it until after we went to the march. So here we are, 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was the craziest thing. They gave us what's called meals ready to eat, which basically was food in our packets here. We had already had, breakfast wasn't going to be until 5 or 6. And so the next thing I know, here we go. We started marching. And I'm going to tell you, I was mind blown. And of course, we did all kind of stuff. People pouring water in their boots. And it's so funny because we basically had our full tops on, and then once around 4 or 5 came, we sat, we ate, and then we started marching again. Or then around 6 or 7 o'clock, they told us to take our tops off because it was starting to get hot, and we were road marching the whole time. And of course, they didn't do nothing simple like straight line on a road or anything like that. That would way too much sense. We were on a gravel road, and it was going up in the mountains and hills. I was like, I swore I was going into the Pikes Peak somewhere, even though we're nowhere near close. But I always remember that we got finished because they told us we had to get done before what's what we call wet bulb, where basically it's like when it gets to the hottest part of the day. At that point, they typically will cease all activity. So they were trying to beat this one particular window because the hottest part of the day where all outside activity tends to be concluded is usually around 11, 12 o'clock. And this was Missouri, and we're talking, I was there in June and July. So here I am, and we're road marching, boop, 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 and I still remember when we found ourselves and we emerged, they actually had us walk all around the base, and we emerged right on the edge of the base. And the next thing I know, we realize we're no longer on gravel road, we're on now concrete surface, which means we are now back in the barracks. And I remember we walked in front of our barracks, and I remember a drill sergeant turned to us, and this was like noon, and I remember him saying to us, congratulations, soldiers. You've just finished walking 25 miles. We went nuts because no one told us like that. Not somebody had to tell you that you had to go. Who does something stupid like that? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure infantry soldiers do this all the time. But when you do this for the first time, there is something inherently rewarding and satisfying in accomplishing something that you probably didn't even realize you had it in you to do. And I'll tell you, the rest of that weekend was wonderful. It was one of the rare times I remember they actually let us sleep in. Back in the day, we had to be up at 4:30 in the morning. Sleeping in for us was 6. And it was hilarious because I remember it was 5:30 and the sun was coming in, and it was like, why are we not getting up yet? Because we're allowed to sleep in. They let us sleep in on Sunday, Saturday, and Sunday. We went back to our normal routines on Monday, but it was wild to go through that experience. Now, for those of you who are listening to this boring story going, what's the purpose of this? Here's the purpose. You're going to have so many milestones in your life that are going to be game changers to you. It could be changing careers. It could be going back to school. It could be investing in something that you never thought about doing again. It may be starting an adventure that you never even gave thought to. So many times we undervalue those milestones we have in our life when we do things that make a difference to us. We often believe that things that are impactful to large groups of people are the only thing that people want to know about. Don't do that. I had someone here post recently where they made a comment to me that they said, you know what, you never talk about your time in the service. And I never realized that I don't. And it's not because I'm embarrassed. I have a lot of great stories about things that I went through in basic training and advanced individual training when I was in the Army Reserves, or advanced camp, or jump school because I jumped out of an airplane. I was airborne qualified. When I went to the Navy and so forth, hanging with the Marines. I have a lot of stories that could be beneficial to you. If you want to let me talk, if you want me to share them, I'd be more than happy to. The reality is that the reason why is, like a lot of people, you don't put a lot of value in the things that you do. You keep thinking to yourself that what you're doing is important to you, but may not be important to the masses as a whole, so you keep that information to yourself. Don't do that. Whether you want to accept it or not, everything you do that is significant to you is a milestone that is significant to someone else. Everyone wants to believe they're important, but sometimes we often tell ourselves that we're not as important as other people. Yes, you are, but they won't know unless you share with them. So if you've got a milestone that you're proud of, trust. Others will be proud of it, and if nothing else, others will want to learn from that as well.